فصلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى أتباعه خير الأمم الذين بارك الله بهم كافة الناس العرب منهم والعجم. فالحمد لله الذي نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا، من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، فقد قال جل وعلا في كتابه العزيز وفرقانه الحميد بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. When Allah Azza wa Jal in the Quran describes regarding fasting, in Surah Al-Baqarah He says, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامِ, that we have prescribed fast upon you. The word is very interesting in the Arabic language. Where Allah says, He doesn't say that we have made it hukum upon you, we have established this ruling upon you, but rather He says, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامِ, we have prescribed this fasting upon you. You know, when a person says they came back from the doctor and the doctor gave this prescription and they have to go to the pharmacy, before you even ask them what is the disease, if they have cholesterol or diabetes or they have some pain in their body, the first notion and the first understanding is that this person has some form of sickness and some disease or something, and therefore he went to the doctor and the doctor prescribed something for this person. If he had no issues, then he would not have gone to the doctor. And this is one thing that each and every single one of us need to internalize, that Allah has prescribed this for us as a form of an exercise so that the spiritual diseases that you and I have can be cleansed. So Allah says, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامِ, we have prescribed fast upon you. كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِن قَبْلِكُم, this is not something new. The previous nations were prescribed in the same form. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so perhaps you may attain taqwa. And what is taqwa? It's this awareness and this conscious of Allah Azza wa Jal. And this exercise that you and I are supposed to build, that each and every single act that we do within our lives, we are aware that Allah Azza wa Jal is watching me. And every single motive should be that I am trying to please Allah Azza wa Jal. And this is one of the differentiating factors, because taqwa is supposed to bring about change within our lives. This is one of the differentiating factors between us and the Sahaba, the companions radiallahu anhum ajma'een. While for many of us it becomes a weaning long process for us to let go of vice and embrace virtue, for the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, it was very easy for them to let go of vice and embrace virtue. It becomes a long process for us. There was a Sahabi and the companion of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam by the name of Zahid bin Zahid radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who had an ongoing relationship with a mushrika, with a disobedient lady in Madinatul Munawwara. And when he accepted Islam, he let go of that lady. But then obviously as a human being, he has emotion, he has feelings, and he went to the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and he asked, what do you think of this relationship? And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, وَلَا تَنْكِحُ الْمُشْرِكَاتِ حَتَّى يُؤْمِنْ, you cannot wed them, you cannot get married to them until they accept Islam. In the same manner, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, when they migrated to Madinatul Munawwara, he left two wives behind in Mekkatul Mukarramah, and they were contacting him, they were sending letters to him and sending hints to him that they want to continue the relationship. And as the hukum of Allah came, وَلَا تُمْسِكُوا بِعِصَمِ الْكَوَافِرِ, that until they don't accept Islam, you cannot get married to them because they're in the disobedience of Allah, they're worshipping idols. Umar radiallahu anhu completely disregarded them. Now as human beings, it's not easy to do that because we're emotional we have emotions, we're emotionally attached to other people. It's not like someone eating a haram candy or something and I'm saying, brother, you know, that has some haram ingredients, let it go, don't eat it anymore. And sadly to say, usually the case is someone will be eating and be like, you know, brother, I bought it, let me just finish it, you know, next time I won't buy it, but thank you for telling me. But Sahaba radiallahu anhum were amazing human beings. They had this ability and this capacity to just let go and move on with life. And that's the question that you and I need to ask ourselves. How much have I changed? Already 14 days of Ramadan has lapsed, it has gone by. How much have I changed as a human being? My bad habits, and internally we all know the bad habits that we have. How much have I changed as a human being? Or have I put hold my bad deeds and my bad habits, and post Ramadan I will go back to it? I once met a brother a couple of years back. He said, I was in a haram relationship and I let go of this person, and it's Ramadan, I've made tawbah, it's a clean slate. I said, MashaAllah, brother, did you delete her phone number? He's like, no, not yet, I'm like, so why do you have it? He's like, you never know, what if they need help? I'm like, this is just another trap from the devil, from the devil. This is another trap from the traps of shaitan. It's just a matter of time. Ramadan will go by, and then you'll go back to text messaging, and you'll go back to being in that relationship. So have I put hold my bad habits on a pause, or have I deleted those things and I have moved on? Because year in, year out, I've been fasting. If someone claims that since age 10 they've been fasting, and if they're 40 years old, if they're 50 years old, that's 30, 40 years of fasting, mashallah. That's 30, 40 years of Ramadan that Allah has blessed you with. And there's two things. Either you're increasing in ibadah, you're increasing in worship, or the bad habits that you have, you're eliminating them gradually from your life. And you need to evaluate yourself. Where are you and where are you headed towards? Because like it or not, every single one of us are headed towards Allah. All of us are headed towards back to Allah. And have I changed because Allah has given me this opportunity? And for the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, for some of them, 1 Ramadan was enough, 2 Ramadan was enough. Because they came to Madinatul Munawwara, the hukm of Ramadan came, they found 1 or 2 Ramadans, and that was enough to transform them, and they passed away in some battle, or they had a normal death. There was a time where if a scholar told his disciple or his student, or a parent told their child, they rebuked them or they said something to them, that was sufficient to bring about change in that person. Today you have people giving lectures after lectures, parents giving lectures after lectures to their children, and there is no change whatsoever. An amazing incident in Madinatul Munawwara, where the Prophet ﷺ was traveling, and Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu narrates this from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They were traveling with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they were walking, and they see a new development. And this was a developer, لِرَجُلٍ مِّنَ الْأَنصَارِ. This person was from the Ansar. And Rasulullah ﷺ said, who's building this? Who's erecting this amazing monument or this building? And they said that it's this brother from the Ansar. O Rasulullah ﷺ, you know this brother, he's from amongst us, and he's building this beautiful building. And Rasulullah ﷺ had a small frown on his face. He was like, I didn't know he was a developer. I didn't know he was engaged in this. He didn't say anything negative. He didn't say anything about the person either. He just had a small frown on his face. And he continued on with his journey. The companions who were left behind, they informed that Sahabi from the Ansar that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was passing by, and he had a small little frown on his face. He didn't know that you were engaged and that you were a developer and you were building this building and you were engaged in doing things like this. He didn't say anything negative. They just informed him that he had a small frown on his face. While the builders are building, he stops them and he says to level it to the ground, and he demolishes the entire development. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam the next week was passing by, and he said, wait, last time we were passing by here the week before, wasn't there a new development being built over here? They said, yes, O Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but we informed that man that you had a small little frown on your face, and it seemed as if you were displeased. And after hearing that, O Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he demolished the entire building. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam started to make dua for that person. He said, may Allah forgive that person's past sins and his future sins, and may Allah azza wa jal grant that person Jannatul Firdaus. So the Sahaba radiallahu anhum were amazing individuals that brought about change, and they had this zeal and this desire. And this is what you and I need to internalize and really study our own lives and our own selves. That Ramadan is going by, 14 days has lapsed. What has changed in my life? Whether it may be tilawah of the Quran, whether it may be praying 2 raka'ah, whether it may be being kind and generous to my family, or being generous in giving. Because every single one of us have our strengths and our weaknesses. And we need to work upon our weaknesses, and we need to excel in our strength. We need to support those who we can support. And this is why Ramadan is a form. It's like a madrasa. That's why the scholars say what? Ramadan is a training. It's the ability and the capacity and the opportunity to change yourself. And it's just a few days. That's why Allah Azza wa Jal in the verse that I recited after that says, أَيَّامًا مَعْدُودَات. It's jama' qillah. It's just a few days that Allah has given you. It's 30 days. And it's a month. If you treat it just like another month, it would go by. But if you treat it as a madrasa, as an opportunity to learn and to build and to transform yourself, it will be a great opportunity.